I'm going to dare some of you women to do something that is going to absolutely change your life. It might if you're ready and if you're open to it, but you've got to be very courageous because all of your life you have been conditioned to not do this. There was one point in my life that I asked God to restore all of my gifts because I felt like I was in the darkness. This was in 2012. The only thing different about that prayer is that something slipped out of my mouth unexpectedly, something I wasn't prepared for. I said, Father and Mother God. The very next day, I had a premonition, a very strong premonition. My gifts started to rise to the surface. But in that day, there was a poem that I was reading. And the poem sounded exactly like a woman giving birth, opening the arms, yelling in agony, blood pouring from her body, giving life. And I said, wow, we as women, the power and the sacrifice in giving life. And at the end, it said, and this is why we honor Jesus Christ. What?
Greetings to the Conscious Collective. Thank you for joining me for this morning conversation. I guess our topic today will be on why we worship women round these here parts. I don't know why I added round these here parts, but that's the way I received it. And so I wanted to share it as I received it. So we're going to talk about why we choose to honor the divine feminine and why we choose to honor women as God. Or as the vessels of God. And hopefully we'll get into a little details about it and you'll get more understanding around it. I know it challenges some of your sensibilities, some of the things you've been taught, but let's examine the evidence and see where it leads. So I appreciate you being part of this conversation. Thank you for joining me. Let's continue.
What? This was about Jesus? No, it was clear to me it was about a woman opening her vessel in order to bring life about.
I've often called women as the vessels of the divine feminine. You have to understand that we are part of um, of a system that holds energy here on this plane of existence. We are actually energy experiencing physicality, slow moving energy, but everything is still energy. So that's the first thing we need to understand about being the vessel to hold that energy.
True sacrifice. No deeper sacrifice than that. But men will try to make it different. They'll try to make you believe that they sacrifice it all for you. And if you are wise, you see their pattern, you know their pattern. It'll never change. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. One day, I prayed to Mother God. And all my years of praying to Father God, this has never happened.
I think people are starting to understand that maybe they've been going about it the wrong way. Maybe they are not fully understanding. Welcome. Thank you for being part of this conversation. I truly appreciate you. But I think maybe a reason a lot of prayers go unanswered or people are still in the same situations that they're in. Maybe they've been going about it all the wrong way and have been misled and misdirected. I explained before how the term labor usually implies women giving birth as labor, as work, and they're used that spelling of that word, the word spelling, casting a spell for you to apply your labor, right, your work towards their projects or whatever they happen to be working on or their goals. So that's one way that the feminine energy has been usurped and taken and turned so it benefits something other than what is originally meant to do. And the other way is going into these churches, synagogues, mosques, and which are like 80 to 90% women, but ran by men. And again, your power is being used and directed in ways that don't benefit you. So she's talking about how this has came to her understanding. And I want to share with a lot more people so we get some clarity on why we do honor the feminine divine energy as being God's source and actually holding the spark of life of God within them and bringing it into this plane of existence. So let's continue.
I prayed to Mother God, only to Mother God. I cried out to her. That night, not the next day, not the next week, that night, 8 women in cloaks appeared to me at the foot of my bed and asked me what I needed. I asked them, "Who are you?" And they said to me, "We're Mother's handmaids." I gave them a request, something that I needed. And when I tell you within 3 days, that request was fulfilled. I will never go back to praying to a Father God.
Now, let's be clear, all right? Source energy is neutral, okay? Right? The force that emanates the universe is unknowable. It's ununderstandable. It is the potential of all things. You know, scientists said there was a void, an emptiness in space before the Big Bang. But spiritually, we know that it was all the potential of everything was in that so-called emptiness. It's not an empty space. It's all the potential, all that exists, that could exist, is actually in that. Greetings, welcome. Thank you for joining us for this conversation. So that's the first thing we have to understand. So we like to apply different understanding to it because that's the nature of our mind. So we want to say that it's male, it's female, it's a jackal, it's a cat, it's a lion, whatever that gets you through your day, okay? But it's actually everything and nothing and everything, okay? So however you perceive it, that's okay, all right? But you do have to understand that when you do start to understand it and perceive it, it takes on a form and a shape. And for masculine energy, it takes on a dominant masculine form. For female energy, it takes on a feminine form, okay? So they're both are actually right. The only difference is that there's a rotation, a cycle that takes place, okay? I think a lot of conversations around that the masculine energy does not exist. I don't know how you can say that. You're looking right at it. You're looking right at it. Okay. You're seeing it interact in the world. Okay. So you know it does exist. But what happens is we're entering a cycle now where the feminine energy is starting to rise. And this is just a normal cycle, right? Because we have such a short lifespan, or some of us have such a short lifespan. Some of us understand that we've been around here a long time, and we can actually tap into our past life memories. And so we have a better understanding of actually what's going on because we see a larger picture. We see a bigger picture, right? Divine Rising, thank you for joining me for this conversation. Please click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. We're going to get into a deeper conversation here on why we actually worship women around these here parts. Don't ask me why I say around these here parts. That's just the way it came to me. I guess it may not be true around a lot of parts, but we're ahead of the game here. We're ahead of the game. We're always ahead of the game, okay? So there's a cycle taking place, a 25,000 year cycle, 250,000 year cycle, whatever the number is. Just like there's a 12-day cycle of sun and a 12-day cycle of night, there's cycles. The universe is filled with cycles, okay? Everything has a rhythm, a flow, right? And so we're entering the cycle of the feminine energy rising while the masculine energy is on the decline. This is a natural process, okay? It doesn't mean that one doesn't exist without the other. The only benefit is that the feminine energy represents more balance, where the masculine energy represents unbalance. But that's okay too, all right? Because you have to have unbalance to have balance. So everything's always in equilibrium, all right? So now we're entering a more of a state of a balance, and this is how we move to a higher state of consciousness, to 5D, 6D, all right? So before we continue with this, I just want to clear up maybe have a conversation with my sister who sends me these videos and I guess wanted me to expand on them a little bit. I truly appreciate that. But we originally came in recognition of each other through our starseed journey. And we actually discovered our starseed types. And that was the first contact or communication we started to talk about, was being starseeds. Me, myself being a Blu-ray starseed. Now, starseeds are just individuals who understand that their consciousness comes from a different place, right? That our consciousness doesn't actually reside or was not created here, right? It's actually from another place in time. And some of us, have the understanding of being Palladians or, Lyrans or whatever different. There's like 19 to 22 different type of starseed that exist outside of this constellation. Like a lot of people like say, well, I just had a birthday, right? And I am a Gemini. Like the sister just said, I'm a Lyran Elohim hybrid, okay? But what does that all have to do with Sophia consciousness, Gaia consciousness, the rise of the feminine divine, right? And the raising of humanity's consciousness, okay? The download that I've received, and I just want to share because it was been my question, all right, because of my starseed journey, why am I talking about the divine feminine and that rising of that consciousness, right? And so I just want to share with my other starseeds who are light workers and who are on this journey to help humanity raise its consciousness, is that divine rising, that we basically have gone native. You know what that means? That we've gone native. Like say that you are an anthropologist and you go to study a tribe or something like that, right? You get so engrossed in the studying of it and understanding of the culture, it's called going native. So a lot of our starseeds, we have gone native. And I was explaining that a lot of people keep insisting on this constellation. Like they say, oh, you're a Gemini. I just had a birthday. They're like, you're a Gemini, right? You were born on such and such constellation. Yeah, I was born on this planet, so that would make me a Gemini, but my consciousness comes from another place in time, and I recognize that as being a Blu-ray. So there's two things about that. Like a lot of people try to kind of position you into this place on Earth plane. A lot of us are not from Earth plane, okay? We're from other places, but we've gone native. Okay, so we're here to do some work, and that means we're so engrossed in the culture and raising the consciousness that we have almost are indistinguishable from our work here, what we're trying to accomplish here. So I hope that clears up. We're going to talk about more how starseeds, light workers, actually play into the understanding of Sophia Crystal and Gaia consciousness. And I don't want to get too much in the weeds, right? But you have to understand that that unknown, that mysterious void that they say is empty, but we understand is filled with all potentials, all realities, all type of creations. It is bursting with potential. We call it the womb. It has created more than just what we know. It has created a lot more other things that we have not came in contact with. And so being part of that, we kind of meshed and brought that together in what we're doing right here and now. Follow me now. Follow me what I'm saying. So we're really gone native, but we are still true to our starseed origins. If you want to know more about your starseed, please tap in and we can share how that journey is. But right now, we're talking about Sophia Crystal, Sophia Gaia, and let me just clarify that. As Sophia representing wisdom, don't think of it as a person, think of it as an energy, as a characteristic representing wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, came into this reality, right? It was manifested in Earth, physical plane Earth, which we call Gaia. So we call that Gaia Sophia. Now, Gaia Sophia, right? lost itself in this reality, right? And some people said made mistakes. Some people said did things on purpose. We were talking about whether they were a mistake yesterday or whether they were done on purpose, right? But Christ consciousness, which led me to the understanding of Sophia Christou, actually, right, brought me to that through that journey of Christ consciousness. And Christ consciousness, the raising, what Christ consciousness is the downloading or the accepting of your higher version of yourself, right? Your higher chakras. Christ consciousness is what actually has to marry with Sophia Christou, right? So it becomes whole, just as you were birthed out, right? And I saw a picture once that I thought was very strange. I couldn't understand it at the time, and now I have a better understanding of it, right? You had this man being born of a woman, and it had a cycle of the man growing older and middle age, and then growing older and to old age, and then going back into the womb. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. All right. No man is going to climb back into the womb. Right. But now that I've been on this journey of more understanding what that image meant was that we're born a woman. And as we gain wisdom and knowledge and understanding, we go back into the womb. Right. Metaphorically, we go back to which we came. And I received that download a long time. You don't want to be in my head. You really don't. Because I get so many downloads, right? And I try to make sense of them, right? And so I got that download when I was questioning, why am I sharing this information, right? Why am I the one to aid the feminine divine understanding their self, right? And then I received a download from, from who took it has to return it, right? So the one that took the knowledge away from the feminine energy has to bring it back. And that's actually the role of Christ consciousness, is to guide Sophia, right, Christou, back into the self-knowing of herself so that she raises back up. So she raises back up to a higher version of herself. So we can talk about it more, and I can confuse you more, but hear me now, understand me later, okay? All of it's definitely connected, right? One last thing before we continue this video. Thank you guys for joining me. We having a conversation why we worship women around these here parts, why we follow this, right? All right. One thing you need to understand about becoming the vessel that can hold Sophia consciousness or Sophia feminine energy. Yes, you are a woman, right? And Sophia energy exists within you, but being able to hold that, and I keep warning a lot of women that if you don't prepare to hold it, it's coming. It's going to crack you open and spin you out. You're going to see a lot of emotional distress, a lot of psychological distress that's happening to women because they're being endued with this divine knowledge, and they haven't done the work to heal their trauma, to release their pain, and to fix the cracks within their vessel, and it's going to spin you out. So I'm hoping that I'm reaching those who need to understand that the work is important, because what you're receiving is going to be so confusing, so crazy that it will actually cause a psychological break. And I've been working with people who have experienced a psychological break, but getting them to understand that the work is important is the hardest thing to do. All right. Let me make 2 points, right, before we continue, right? Women are always challenged to working on men in relationships. I was thinking about this when I'm working with someone, and I'm thinking about this. They are always under the assistance of working on men, right? And if men could do this, if men could do that, then it would be better, and we wouldn't have this problem, or maybe we don't even need men at all. But think about this, right? Right. If I want to be more attractive to women, right? If I want to be more appealing, say physically, right? And I was in that stage of my life where the physicality was what I used to get the attraction I wanted. Okay. A lot of people like fit men. They like men in shape. They like men that look like they're healthy, right? That's a whole biological reason for that, right? Because women want to choose the best mates, even though they're not thinking consciously that they're looking for someone to produce children with. Biologically, we seek out the most healthiest individuals to deal with because that's just the way we wired. Okay. So it has nothing to do with what you want to do. It's what your biology is telling you to seek out the most healthiest mate, right? So working out was part of that. So I didn't go and tell women that they need to like me. You understand? I didn't go around and I didn't tell women that they needed to like me, right? I went and worked on me. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So when you're trying to connect with people, to tell them that they need to do this and do that, it's kind of ass backwards when you should be working on yourself. Me to go around and try to convince people that I'm the one they should be with, right? Is crazy work. What you do is you improve yourself and you work on yourself. You go to the gym. I went to the gym. I flexed these wangs. I built these muscles. I had that chest popping. I what they call looks maxing. Shave your hair, make yourself look presentable. Throw some cologne on. Work on you. You don't throw cologne and go to make somebody force them in the gym because you want them to like you. You work on yourself. Does that make any sense? Are you guys following me on that? Everything is never about the other person. It's never about the other person. It's always about the self-work that you do that brings things to you. I was just trying to illustrate physically how me telling somebody, she, to go fix themselves, to act right, to be better is kind of crazy work on what I want. It's about you fixing yourself. It's about you being the person that you want to be, and you attract those things to you. So if you are slouchy and you are as men and uncouth, you're going to draw that type of woman normally to you, especially like if you have no money, no means, right? I've seen homeless people, right? Homeless couples. They look suited for each other. She's a hot mess. He's a hot mess. You never see a homeless guy with some beauty influencer, right? And then him telling her she needs to step up her game to be with him. And that's what I don't understand, why people have such a hard time with relationships when it's all about the self-work you need to do. I know it's easier to tell someone else about themselves, but we should spend time about telling us about our own selves if we want to bring the positive things into our own lives. So I got kind of on a tangent here. I want to thank you guys for kind of joining me for this conversation. We're going to be talking about why we worship women around these here parts, my ideal and my thought around this. And we're going to finish out this video and some other videos to kind of illustrate why I feel that we have actually been misled and where we show our honor and veneration at, right? They have a thing that said that if you see God in everyone, then you will treat them better, right? If you understood that women were divine and connected with God intimately, you would treat them better. So we can get into all the details on why people refuse to, but we're going to share our thoughts on why we feel like this is the best way to go.
Because all my years, and I'm 40, I'll be 45 years old, all my years have been spent honoring, worshiping, sacrificing for men in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm, and it has been nothing but disappointment. And I thought about it. Women at the core are compassionate, loyal, strong. We endure, we persevere.
So let's give that a caveat. Let's give it a caveat. Women that operate in their feminine energy are the highest version of femininity, compassion, love, sacrifice, all good, characteristics, right? But I don't think that every woman can be said that operates in her highest form of femininity. I think I would argue, because masculine energy has been so dominant, that a lot of women have operate in their masculine energy. And I know the reason behind that. You might say, well, Baba, we had to do this, we had to do that. I get that. I get that. My point being is you're still operating in your masculine energy. So let's give it a caveat that you have that potential, the potential to be the vessels of the divine feminine energy, but not every woman operates in that energy. I tease when I say, the queens and the goddesses, you can't tell me that just because they're all vessel. I have the vessel to be, hold divine masculine energy, right? But I choose not to be as destructive as divine masculine energy can be, because I want to be more mirrored and perfectly whole in my divine growth. So I don't hold all masculine energy, right? I have compassion, I love, I have forgiveness, more of the feminine traits, right? Masculine energy, if you root it in your masculine energy, you can be very toxic. And I've known that. I've been a man's man and toxic. Okay. Just straight mistreating, angry, violent. Okay. So we can hold different energies. We can hold different energies. And so just doesn't mean just because you are actually in you're a feminine woman doesn't necessarily mean that you are feminine in holding your energy, right? We see some women that we would classify as women, and they choose to hold masculine energy, and we call them, I don't want to call any names or anything like that because I don't know what's disrespectful. I never knew what was disrespectful in describing women that act like men. I don't want to disrespect anyone, but that whole thing's always been confusing to me. But let's just say, the women that act like men, or the men that act like women, they're holding that energy, but that don't mean that they're a perfect vessel for that energy. And so even if you're a vessel for it, don't mean you actually hold it.
And we are the closest thing to that spiritual realm.
Now that is no lie told, because of you having that portal within you. Um, on this plane, we would call it a birth canal, which is strange that your organ has so many different names depending on what stage it's in, right? Sometimes it's nothing, except, coochie. Other times, when you're pregnant, it becomes a birth canal, right? It's actually spiritually a spiritual portal that brings reality into existence, that brings wisdom, knowledge into existence. So it has so many different names, right? And that's what makes you uniquely special. Just like being melanated makes you uniquely special to hold divine energy. Some things are just uniquely specially because of the physicality of them, strictly because of the physicality of them, to hold certain energies.
So why would I keep praying to a man deity, to a male energy that would just cause me to submit more to more male energy?
Because that was the role that had a place, right? It's no longer, or should be, ebbing away, right? But it actually had a place in actually the spiritual growth, right, of living. See, you got to understand, if you think about it in terms of physicalities and dimensions, right? You have the first D dimension, you have the second D, third D, 4D, 5D. You have to start at the beginning. And so masculine energy kind of mastered 3D reality. But as we move into higher consciousness, right, we need feminine energy. And we got a video going to demonstrate that later. So stick with me. I'm going to show you how feminine energy is supposed to come into prominence.
My life changed when I started praying to Mother God, and that is what I dare for you women. Go back if you want if it doesn't work for you. But all I'm going to say is give her a chance. Because maybe your life is the way that it is because you did not allow the divine feminine to be the one that you go to.
I think she made a lot of good points, a lot of good sense that we need to change the way we view what we call our deities, what we call God. We need to have a better understanding of it. This is actually what was the first revolution, right? The feminine energy was the first that came into prominence as God, and then we got the masculine energy kind of took over. Then we moved on to the feminine energy. So we're gonna try to get a little bit more understanding. I hope I am not dragging this out too much for you guys. I really let's do a little commercial break really quick. If you did not participate in Christ Consciousness Church yesterday, I think you missed something. This is where we just strictly, we don't do any commentary. We don't do any response to videos. We don't talk about anything. We just really focus on getting closer to that divine feminine energy through releasing cores, through cleansing, through guided meditation, right? Through affirmations and prayers and honoring. And that's all it is. That's all it is. So if you have some time and you want to just really tap into that spirit of the feminine energy, I want to invite you to come online at 7 o'clock Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sunday afternoon as we really just focus on tapping into that energy, right? It's not about commentary. It's not about any type of response. It's just actually just focusing on healing and clearing your energy so you can be more in line with your highest version of yourself. So please tap into that. You'll see the links to it sometime just before I go live, and just jump on for 20, 30 minutes. And I think you'll really enjoy that. Let's move on to our next video. And I want to share this one with the collective.
Hotep Africans. Did you know that the first worship humans worshipped was a woman?
So, what did you worship before you were taught to worship? What was your religion? What was your belief system? When you looked around the universe and as your consciousness awakened and you started to discover, is there something bigger than me? Is there something larger than me? What was that first? Right? What was that first? You were taught the masculine version of religion, right? We can even calculate or go back in time and show where exactly it started to take hold. But the woman religion, the feminine energy, even the veneration of Gaia, Earth, is a feminine-based belief system, right? Witches are not witches. That actual term actually means wit. Ones who have their wit about them. That's what the term witches come from. It comes from wit, right? They knew things. They knew plants. They knew herbs. They knew how to what the seasons was. They knew how to handle children coming into the world. They had their wits about them. We have actually taken that term and made it something negative and call them witches. Okay, so think back, recapture to what you first recognized as your higher self before you were taught this false belief system of masculine empowerment, right? What was that really, that first thought? If you think long, hard, and hard enough, you'll start to remember your true self.
Before Judaism, Christianity, and the so-called Islam, the world submitted their adoration to goddesses. The woman was seen as the only one next to God. In fact, they found God in a woman.
Because Native people and people who are more indigenous, right, understood the feminine qualities of their existence, right? When just imagine, right, you are a Native indigenous person, and you don't have all this outside influence and lies being told to you, and then you see this woman, right, that is different from you physiologically, right, give birth and bring a being into existence. You can only say that's from God, right? Even if you had the wherewithal to say, well, I stuck something in her 9 months ago. You know, you did not stick the baby in her, right? You stuck some juice out of your hose, right? And then you're like, okay, where did this baby come from? I didn't put the baby in there, right? She didn't have the baby there before. So where did the baby come from? So you're indigenous, you connect to the earth, you understand your connection, you can hear the trees, you can see the stars, you can smell the grass, you are part of the biological system. And then you see this being give birth to another being. You cannot say that it's not given from the greater whole of what you're observing, right? The great being that you see that created the plants, that created the trees, that creates the water that you drink, that creates the animal. You include a woman as part of that whole ecological system, because it's just as mysterious as when a tree grows.
It is only through the vagina of a woman that another life can come into existence.
There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. There's no other way that our reality comes into existence. Now you got to understand, our reality exists of what? Our perception, right? We create our reality through our perception, right? We see things, we understand things. But that ability comes through being born into this reality. And coming into this reality, you come a woman. And that's why we say we honor, we venerate, we worship women around here, these parts, because we understand that the only way we're here is through the woman. That's the only way we exist is through the woman, right? Men do not create life. And life is being one of the most mysterious, secret things in the universe, the least understood thing. Because even if you understand the physicality of making a being, they actually have invented a cell. They have invented a cell, right? And this cell multiplies and behaves just like a regular cell. This is a new thing they did just in the last couple of months of inventing a cell, right? You can invent a whole new human being, but you can't endow consciousness into that being. You're not going to be able to endow that consciousness into that. And that's the part of breathing life, consciousness into this physical thing that you created. And that only comes through a woman. And from that life comes ideas, comes structures, come planning, everything comes, but it came through that vessel of a woman.
In ancient worship, the woman was the godmother. The first woman worshipped as a goddess was an African woman named Hathor or Het Heru. This African goddess was worshipped by the Greeks as Aphrodite. The Romans built temples for her and they called her Venus. In Judaism, the Jewish people made a golden image of her. Did you know that this African goddess was the golden calf the Jews worshipped after?
Now that's interesting. I didn't know that. When they worship the golden calf, and that makes sense, right? If they worshiping the golden calf, right? They wanted a god, and you have to know Christianity. And the masculine God came down and destroyed them, and said, "You have no god but me."
They left Egypt around 700 BCE, not as slaves, but as students. There was no slavery in Egypt, and no Jew was enslaved. Rather, they came as students, learning in different Egyptian and Ethiopian temples. Now, in Hinduism, Hathor or Het Heru is worshipped as the almighty sacred cow. Her presence was so strong that in South Africa, archaeologists have found her footstep in an ancient site. In Egyptian mythology, she is represented with a cow face, which represents fertility. We must understand that all colors came from black. Black is the foundation of all colors, and the black woman is the original pantheon. Only her DNA contains all colors. Now, around 55,000
So let's discuss that for a minute. Let's discuss that most everything has melanation in it. Melanation is very important to this plane of existence, to this earth. It actually makes you more viable on this planet to have melanation in your skin. The nappy hair, right? And this is what a lot of people struggle with understanding why divine energy would cradle itself or sit into melanated people. Melanated people physically are made for this plane of existence. Your nappy hair, right, actually allowed you to survive in hot, severe, barren climates, right? The ability to your darker skin actually worked with sunlight. Okay, so you were physically made capable of existing in this reality, but everything has melanation in it. Some just has less than others. Okay, so when you think about that, everything is actually black. It's just to the degree of what makes it dark, right? Everything has some darkness in it. It's just a degree. But the thing that actually separates, especially races, is actually culture. It has very little to do with just the color of the skin, but more what the culture is of accepting. Like, I don't call people black or white because of their skin color. Whatever they accept themselves to be. Because you can have some dark-skinned people who chafe at the idea of being black. And I'm like, if you don't want us, we don't want you. I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to make you something you don't want to be. I'm going to respect you in your journey. And then you have someone who accepts it and receives it, and they can be just as visually white, but really be black because they're down for the culture. They're down for the respect. So I hope one day we get away from just what we see with our eyes, right? But actually see people, right? And who people truly are. That would avoid a lot of problems too, because then you have some people who act like they're for certain groups of people, and then you find out they're not. And then you actually have people who are the color of those people, and then find out they're working against you too. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we can go down, okay? But let's just start seeing people as everyone being melanated, just some are darker than others. And it depends on what you accept or what you fight against, really.
Years ago, the black woman left Africa along with her African albinos to Europe and survived in the ice. There were no humans in Europe when the Africans came. The African albinos were dying easily in Africa because they lacked enough melanin to be under the sun. In fact, the Africans who migrated from Africa to Europe were the first Europeans who dropped melanin as a result of thousands of years in the European ice. Without the black woman, humanity will not exist. The black woman was the first center of worship in Europe.
Okay, let's just say that the woman is not God. Let's just say this man, this imaginary man, is the God, right? Let's just say that, right? Can we agree that all civilization comes from a melanated woman? That's been proven. That's been proven in science. The first woman, the first mother of creation was a melanated woman found in Africa. So we already know physically what we say spiritually actually is true. That the first woman physically was melanated and it was a woman. They didn't say that the father of humanity, right? Humanity does not come from men. It comes from women. Women are the ones. How does it work that women give birth, but men claim, right, heredity order when it's the woman that gives birth, right? She's the one that brought forth the life. So you can automatically see how that's already just taken over and lied to, and the seed is put into it because it doesn't really exist. And when we look at it in nature, it doesn't really exist anywhere in nature. Where we've been taught that everything follows the father's line, that's a lie. It would have to follow the mother's line. Okay. The only reason it follows the father line is because the father usually controls wealth and he wants to give it to who he thinks is his seed. But if women control wealth, they will spread that wealth around to all of their children. So you see why we need to move into a higher state of consciousness, because men are so singularly thinking that they only want to hold wealth and prosperity to themselves, where women were shared among all their children.
Isis, the black Egyptian goddess, and her child Heru were worshipped as the black Madonna and child, a goddess in African mythology.
And you can see that, you can actually see that in the Catholic Church. They actually worship the black Madonna.
Madonna and child, a goddess in African mythology that had the first immaculate conception of a virgin birth before the story of Mary. European women.
And so the virgin birth is not is not unusual. It's shown throughout different stories and different histories all around the world, but it always comes from a woman giving birth without the aid of a man. If you really studied Christianity and you looked at the virgin birth, right? They celebrate it as being a virgin birth, not born of a man, but they don't celebrate it to the value that it has, that this woman could bring forth life without a man. That was the important part, that the woman brought forth life. You would not have Jesus. Exactly. You would not have Jesus if you did not have Mary, his mother. Because they told us through Christianity, he came through Mary. Everything comes through a woman. So that's why we look at women, we honor and we venerate women, because everything comes through them. You're not going to have the savior of Christianity, the savior of the Western world, all this if it did not come through a woman. And you want to ignore that part. It's like, you know, if there's no doorway, how do you get in here? You can't enter a room with no doorway, no door, no window. So that doorway plays a very important part to bringing knowledge into the world. Think about what Christ did. Christ consciousness brought an understanding. What was the message of Christ consciousness? Love one another, a higher vibrational frequency, to love one another. Christ consciousness brought that message through a woman. And that's why we honor and we recognize that, because without that, we don't get the message. Without that, we don't get the understanding. Without that, we don't get to grow. We don't get to expand. We don't get to become anything unless we understand that part.
And stopped giving sex to their husbands, because for one to worship Isis, one must be sexually pure. This skyrocketed bitterness among medieval European men, and they started burning down the temples of this African goddess.
So I'm going to tell you something, right? And I said this yesterday, and I think a lot of people missed it, and I'm going to share it again, right? So you have a half the population that doesn't value the other half of the population or think is worthy of anything but doing what the other half says. If you think that men, the majority of men in power or the men in general honor and respect of the position of the woman, then you have to point that out to me. Because as a whole, that being a woman is something that is worse than almost being black sometimes in some places, right? Some people rather be black than be a woman, right? And you know that's really crazy then, okay? So this part doesn't respect you, doesn't honor you, doesn't give you a voice. You can't speak in his churches. You can't speak in his temple. You can't speak in his synagogues, right? And then and so only sees one value from you, right? Is the box, is the sweet spot, then turns around and convinces you to give that away free. That's diabolical. That's diabolical. The only value that it gave you was between your legs, then convinced you to give that away free. And so why do we have a lot of vessels that can't hold divine feminine energy, that can't hold the true severe wisdom? Is because of masculine energy shooting up the club. Yes, shooting up the club, damaging the vessel, right? Because there was no regard to the vessel, right? It's like someone comes in your house and just starts destroying things, right? Kicking in doors, right? Breaking windows, crapping on your floors. And then when the true energy comes in this place, it's unsuitable for it. When wisdom and knowledge and truth comes and tries to rest in this vessel, it finds that the vessel has been damaged, that the vessel has some blocked sewer pipes, is flooding in the house, right? That the vessel windows are broke, that the vessel air conditioner doesn't work. And rightly so, the divine feminine is going to be angry. But that anger is first in the divine feminine. Before it starts to destroy everything else, it's going to destroy what doesn't suit it. So while we recapturing this divine energy, this divine feminine power, you have to understand that that power, if you are not capable of respecting it within yourself, then it's going to work with you first before it works with anything outside of you. It doesn't come just to straighten everything else out. It comes to straighten you out, so you can be held in correct order. So when there's some straightening that needs to be done, believe the straightening is going to start with you first. As the divine feminine energy rises, as Sophia comes back in prominence and to the rightful order of things, right? It's got to straighten out its house first. It's got to work on its yard. It's got to work on repairing things and straightening things out before it moves out and starts to straighten the world out. That's why I'm trying to encourage that you do the work, that you actually resolve to correcting yourself, to hold the energy correctly, so you're not spun out and broken open.
Named Isis. The Catholic Church also instigated the rebellion against womanhood and feminine worship. It was Pope Gregory the Great, a notorious Catholic narcissist, in 591 AD, who accused women of bringing sin into this world and called for the relegation of women to weaker vessels in our society. They promoted the mythology of Adam and Eve as they labeled the woman as the bringer of sin and suffering. It is a shame that our women cannot see the treachery of religion against them.
And that's to me has been the most difficult part. How the religion has been turned against you, your own belief system. Just like I just gave you the example of convincing women that being promiscuous and sexual is some type of reward. Like a lot of women say, I can get any man. That's not a flex. It's a true statement. You can get any man. You have the power to get any man, but you don't choose the right man and you don't do the eternal work. I mean, that's not a flex. But this world is so ass backwards that we think a lot of things are flexes that are just stupid. And going to church and sitting in a church worshiping something that doesn't honor or respect you is crazy. That doesn't give you a voice, that says that you're not to speak, unto spoken to, and you go and you celebrate that and you give all your money to that, and then you give your body away free because this world has taught you that there's some value to that. That's crazy work there. So as we come back to understanding what your true nature is, the value and importance of what you are, we don't do that to kind of, pump up your head. We do it so we can live in order and in correct order by placing you in the correct position that you originally meant to be in.
Hotep Africans. Did you know that the first worship humans worshipped?
All right, let's move on to our next video. And we're going somewhere with this. I want to share this video with you because you're going to see a lot more of this coming up. Those that have been with me for a minute know we're always ahead of the game. We're always sharing things. There's a lot of noise out there, and we try to get some clarity in that noise. So let's bring my guy up. I think we brought him up yesterday, and he tends to ramble about a bunch of stuff, but I think he made some good points here.
Up on the planet right now, it is imperative that you get you a spiritual woman ASAP, because she's going to bring energetic balance, meaning that she's equilibrium in human form. When the world is going through a state of chaos and confusion, a spiritual woman is going to keep you anchored to your purpose, and your purpose becomes her protection.
I think we need to say that again, right? Your purpose becomes her protection. Men serve a necessary evil, if you want to call it, in this system of order, right? Men are supposed to provide for women. Men are supposed to plan. They are supposed to protect, right? They're supposed to procreate. They're supposed to play a role. And as the world moves from 3D, which this is normal, these earthquakes, these fires, I think I would describe them as normal because it's a process of change that's taking place, right? Homes are being flooded, right? Strange things are afoot. Explosions are happening. They can't figure out where they're coming from or what they're about, right? They shut down some whole state because of some fire. They don't even know what caused the fire, all right? You have lightning striking more readily. Strange storms come up. Everyone gets these microstorms, and this ain't just like a little storm. These microstorms look like they're trying to drown you. The rain comes down so hard and so fast, right, for a few minutes, and then it stops. You're going to have to come back in order. You're going to have to come back in alignment if you want to survive this, male or female. If you want to move into this next stage of evolution of consciousness, you have to come back. But this is the men who have to recognize the divinity of women and encourage them back into their correct role, so they become true queens and true goddesses, and not just in mouth and word. You sitting over there, you're sipping on that lean, you're drunk, you're spread out ego, right? You're waking up with your drawers on backwards, and then you say, I'm a queen. Make it make sense, right? Make it make sense. You know, you going from partner to partner to partner, right? And each one is leaving their energy in you, right? Each one is damaging you in some way, and then you want to hold the divine energy within you. It's not going to work. That's why we have Christ Consciousness Church, where we do healing, where we do cleansing, because I'm encouraging you to understand you can release that energy and be that healed vessel. Be that healed vessel to hold the divine energy, right, more fully.
It's going to remind you to stay 10 toes down. Now, there's a big diametrical difference between a baddie and a spiritual woman of power. See, a baddie has the ability to master retention, while a spiritual woman of power has the ability to master energy, because she's tapped into her energetic frequency of true feminine energy.
I got to tell you, as for me, a baddie may get a look from me. A baddie may get a look from me, but a spiritual woman gets my attention. Think about what I'm saying. You walking around with them drawers up your butt, and what is it? Why is it everything got to have the cheeks out now? Everything got to have the. I don't. Oh my God, you don't know. You guys are going so bad. It is so bad out here. It is so bad because your cheeks are only gonna go so far. What you gonna show after that? After you got it up your back, after you got it cut up your back, and the whole butt cheek is out, what else you gonna show? Right? After you got everything exposed, what else do you have to show? You haven't done any work on bringing wisdom, knowledge, regulation, system regulation. You haven't done any of that work to offer, to bring forth, right? So you only brought this. This is finite. The body, the material body is temporary. Okay? I've been young, I'm old now, older now, I'm not old, older now. And the thing is that I know that this is temporary. And after you done shown so much and you done gave up so much physically, what else is there? So you have to understand the spiritual part is infinite. You can constantly bring spirituality. You can constantly give spiritual growth. You can constantly bring spiritual understanding, but you can only do so much physically. You can only do so much physically because after you've done it, what else do you have? If you tap into that wisdom, that's a field wisdom and knowledge and understanding, you can't give enough of that away. You're never going to end. That's never going to cease. But after you done wore the shorts and you got the string up the coochie and the chest out, after that, it's normal. You have nothing else. Why play that card? Why not work on the spiritual part? So you can get the attention. The baddie can get the look, but you're not going to hold anyone's attention, right? You're going to get that's why those things don't last, right? That's why spiritual people have longer, more healthier relationship, because they find some value in that and they're constantly being fed. The body changes. All that goes away. Don't live a temporary life of just enjoying the moment. Understand that the spiritual part is the most important part if you want a lasting, successful life.
That keeps her tether connected to the cosmos. So with that being said, get you a spiritual woman.
What happened? Can you guys hear me? What happened? What happened? It just blinked out.
She is set up on a planet right now. It is imperative into her energetic frequency of true feminine.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, am I back? Am I back? See, this is technology. This is technology. You just have to deal with it. I'm just doing what I normally do. Nothing just cut out. Just says enough of that. Enough of that, But I lined it up so we can pick up where we started off at. Let me just find where we're at. That's just crazy.
Of power. See, a baddie has the ability to master attention, while a spiritual woman of power has the ability to master energy, because she's tapped into her energetic frequency of true feminine energy that keeps her.
I'm so glad I have such committed people who constantly support me. Sometimes the struggle be real, Monty. Sometimes the struggle in this technology be real. You guys don't understand. It be real. I'm grateful that I am able to share this information, my perspective, with like-minded people. I'm thankful for you guys every day, but believe me, the struggle is real. So we were saying that I was expressing how a spiritual woman is going to always get my attention. Hey, if you guys are not following me on IG, please follow me on IG. I have a question for you, okay? I have a picture on IG that I posted of me trying on what I call spiritual eclecticness, right? I was trying a new style, combining some styles with some stuff, right? That picture has 1,500 views last I looked, and 12 likes, right? Normally, when I post something, right, I get maybe 1 or 2 views and 1 unfollow. Don't worry about it. I normally get 1 or 2 views. Whatever I post on IG, the algorithm doesn't like me, and I get a couple of views and 1 unfollow or something crazy like that, right? Somebody's like, what BS is this? Unfollow, right? But the picture I posted, I want to know what I did. What did I do? What did I do correct that the algorithm has almost 1,500 likes 12 likes and 1,500 views? What did I do right? So if you follow me on IG, I'm serious. I'm serious. Just go follow me on IG. The link is in the description, and let me know what I did right or wrong, because I would like to continue to build my brand and build my message. I'm just trying to figure out what the algorithm wants, right? Just what it wants, okay? Is that what it is? I got to have my arms out. I got to be flexing. I got to be like, what's that bro on IG? The blood that heals. I got to sit there with my junk in my trunks. I need to have my junk in my trunk. Is that what works? Is that what works? I'm going to pass on all that. That's just, I can't do that. It's not like that. I have a problem with nudity, right? I have a problem with depravity. I don't have a problem with nudity. I have a problem with depravity. The nude body is nothing to me. It's nothing to me. It's just a natural thing. But it's the depravity that bothers me the most about things. Okay? So I'm looking at this. Let me show you guys. I don't know what is about that. 1,400 views, 11 likes. That's crazy. I mean, I usually get 30 to 80 views, but that was crazy. So I don't know. I just want to know what I did right or wrong in that. Let's continue.
Tether connected to the cosmos. So with that being said, get you a spiritual woman.
Was it the walk off? I thought it was the walk off. Okay. I thought it was the walk off. Well, that's just the normal way I walk. You know, I'm from Chicago. I'm from them streets. You know what I mean? I remember me and my brother practicing how to pimp, how to stroll. I remember us in the basement, like we was walking the catwalk. We like, no, man. We had to be about 11, 12 years old. And we like, no, man, you got to do like this, man. You got to do like this. So it's always been something just natural. So I'm thinking maybe it was the walk off. Maybe it's the walk off, because that's naturally the way I walk. I walk standing straight, tall, authority, you know what I mean, in my sovereignty. And I said, maybe it was the walk. Okay, because I posted pictures before, and I'm like, they never got the response they got. But that was crazy, though.
And not these damn baddies. Because a baddie is a female who hasn't emotionally fortified herself enough to be a woman. Because you're living in a time right now where everything is based on artificial energy. And an artificial ass woman is going to bring you artificial vibration. See, a baddie knows how to control the room with her body, but a spiritual woman of power knows how to control the room with her energy. See, there is a big diametrical difference, like I said, because one thing you got to understand about the baddies, they always competing with other women, but a spiritual woman is always competing with her old self because she's trying to better herself.
Man, that's a bar there. And I'm trying to tell you guys, it ain't it. Remember I told you about the restaurant I went to down here in Georgia called This Is It, and I ate it and it wasn't it. That baddie is not working. The weed, the peeling back is not working. The implants, she is not working. It really is unless women competing with women, maybe they are, I don't know. But even with women, right? The long eyelashes, what else do we have? What else have we done? What the long eyelashes, the nose piercing, the ear, the piercing across the eyelids, the changing of the eye colors, right? And the hair on top of hair, right? Till you done lost your hair, which is diabolical. You didn't love your hair, right? I told you should have loved your hair, right? Now you didn't love your hair, so your hair like, I'm out of here. I'm not gonna stay nowhere I'm not respected. Your whole hair is like, I'm not going nowhere that I'm not valued. I'm out of here. And now you got the we see it. We see that. We see that. Okay? The hairline is ripped back here and the baby hair starts back here. Come on, man. And this is no disrespect. I'm just saying it was not the way to go. It was not the way to go. I've never seen so many women have alopecia. Now that everybody got it now. Everybody got it now. Come on, man. You got to love yourself, right? So now you got the eyelashes, you got the piercings, you know, and you say this is not for attention, then what's it for? It's a medical thing, right? I don't even know, you know, you go through metal detectors, they wave it across your face now. BBLs were killing women, unaliving women. BBLs are unaliving women. You don't know the death rate for BBLs? Doctors that just want to make that money, just pumping something in your ass. You got people in hotels pumping cement in your ass. You look unnatural, right? You talk about brothers with the bird legs, chest day every day. They do chest and arms every day. Don't ever do legs, right? Now you got the bird legs, right? You got the butt and the ass, and then it goes straight down, no thighs, just straight down into little toothpicks. Come on. Always love yourself. Take it for what you want, but pour love into yourself. Whatever way you think you're made, whatever, you can't tell me when you see a woman standing on herself and loving herself, natural, for me, that does it for me. That just does it for me. Just standing there looking natural, secure in her own self, you know, ain't got to get made up to get ready, ain't got to get ready to get ready, but ready to go. That I don't know. That's just me, y'all. That's just me. I don't want to disrespect nobody, but where else we gonna go? We got the cheeks out, we got the butterfly eyelashes, the snuffleupagus going, we got the hair looking like, you know, one of them old Chinese movies. You seen them Chinese movies where they had a ponytail in the back, right? What we gonna do now, y'all? What we gonna do now? You're running out of stuff. You're running out of stuff. You're running out of stuff to do, right? Right? The chest, right? You're running out of stuff to do. Why don't you try working on yourself and loving yourself and raising that inner vibration, connecting to that Sophia energy, that deep wisdom, become, you know, something that a man can't do without. Get that third eye open so you can see BS when it's coming your way. What about that? No, I don't know. People. I don't know. We running out.
That's the difference. And that's why you need you a spiritual woman.
Definitely need a spiritual woman in your life. Definitely need a spiritual woman, right? It's going to take me a minute to load this other video up because we had a little technical difficulties. I want to make sure I get the right video. Let me see. Let's do this one.
To the fucking sage wife. She walks around the house burning the sage. It's like a smoke show in there. I feel like I'm in a haunted house, but the whole point is to make sure it's not haunted, I guess. And I love it about her. She lights the shit right on the stove, walks around. I thought the house was on fire one time when I came home. These are the spiritual girls.
Don't sleep on that sage. I know women like, man, I keep that sage. I keep that. You come around my spot, you smell me, you gonna smell sage. I keeps the sage. I told you my son came home one time and I broke a globe and something else broke. I said, boy, you done brought something in my space. You done brought something in my space. And I went around and I spreaded the sage around, cleared that energy out. I don't know what gremlins. Come over here, man. Raise your foot. Get them gremlins off that. You know, you like, man, Dad, you own something. I'm like, man, you done brought something in my space. You got to keep that sage. I don't know about that sage. I feel bad for you. I feel bad. But your pastor told you you can't control the atmosphere, right, with the sage. And we're not trying to control the atmosphere. We're controlling the energy, all right? All right? You can't control the atmosphere. Got to keep that sage. I don't mess around with that sage. Keep that water by that bed. You think, I feel bad for you. Don't think energy is real. Your whole energy being, but you don't believe in energy. Your pastor said, y'all worshiping crystals. We're not worshiping crystals. We're not worshiping crystals, right? We know crystals hold energy, right? It's crystals in your watch, fool. It holds energy, right? So we just trying to manipulate the energy a little bit. We work in energy. So yeah, keep that sage going. If you ain't got none, go get some.
These are the ones that have, yoni eggs inside of them. They're using period cups instead of fucking tampons because of the chemicals. They usually have 200 to 300 plants in the house. There's fucking crystals everywhere, and I'll put them out for her under the full moon. But who's married to this woman? These people will save your dark soul. They'll make you feel so loved.
That's the point. That's the point. All right. Spiritual women make you feel so loved. It ain't about the eyelashes. It ain't about the ponytail and the bald head and the piercings and the silver piercing through the nose and the ears and the BBL, right? Because you're running out. You done ran out of room, right? You done ran out of room. She. It's the point, right? They can heal you. They give to you. They make you feel so loved and protected, right? And honored. It is a feeling that once you experience it, you never lose it, right? It makes you a better person. Men become better when women bring this energy forth. When they tap into their spirituality, when they tap into their Sophia consciousness and they heal themselves and they grow, right? They share that with everyone. They regulate your whole house. I wish I could. I can't tell you any more than that.
And if they get attached to you and they love you, you're fucking lucky, because you might have good energy then, because they can sense everything. They're like the empathic psychics of the world. And
if you have a woman on your side, and I know this from a fact, right? You can tell her about a situation that she has not been a part of, and she can read that whole situation, right? She don't have to know the person, right? She doesn't have to know the place, but she has that insight, that intuition, that when you talk to her and you listen, right? She's reading it. You're like, damn, right? And she'll tell you that ain't no good. That ain't no good, right? Right? This is what you need to do, baby. Do this. Do this. You like, wow. I'm telling you, you just don't understand. I know the world has denigrated women, has misled them. That's the biggest lie. Has misled women away from their true selves, from their divine self, their divine connection, right? But if you really understood him, and people are waking up. See, when we talk about waking up, right? You thought it was just realizing everything was BS. You thought that was waking up. It was also realizing the truth of some things. When you wake up and realize the truth of some things, right? you understand, and you like, wow, now this is a tough truth here, that you're not the boss. You mean I'm not the boss? I'm not the boss. The world told me I was the boss, right? She the boss? Man, you got to be effing me. You got to be effing me. This is when you start to grow. You understand how that works? This is when your consciousness starts to expand and you start to understand things, right? You're following the correct order. You're worshiping the correct deity, right? You're loving the correct God, right? You got to leave that false belief behind. That ain't did nothing good but keep you in lower vibration. But once you move into this pure understanding, you become a better you. You become a best version of yourself.
You can't keep anything from them. Comment below if you're dating this woman, or if you're married to her, or if you're the woman. Thanks for watching. Leave it in the comments.
I think he spoke a lot of truth on that, right? I want to share this other video, right? Now, we done went all the way from women discovering who they truly are, right? The history throughout the before you started talking about Christianity, Islam, or anything, right? What was the first thing you understood about your reality? What was the first thing you understood about your place in reality and how you came to be? You understood it came from a woman. That was the first thing. But men had to come in there and they had to kind of switch that up because they needed you to understand them. Even when you're talking about Christ, Christianity, I want to hear about Mary and how he portaled through her, how he came through here, right? You can't deny that. He had to come through that. Women have been bringing things into existence. Whatever the world needs, the woman brings it into existence. So we have to understand that, how important they are in your day-to-day life, how important they're going to be as we move through this period of problems and turmoil. You better get you. We don't have the mothers of the old days. They got rid of those. Tyler Perry made $1 billion laughing at them, right? Putting them around, putting them to shame. Nobody wants to be a Madeira. Nobody wants to be a babe. Nobody wants to be a mother and the matriarch of the family, right? They're too young to be grandmothers. They don't want to be that, right? So now we don't have anyone, right? And we need to awaken the women, the divine feminine. We're going to need you guys. We're going to need you guys as we try to navigate this next stage of life. As world starts going crazy, I mean, you don't know how to garden? Wait a minute. Let me get this right. Most y'all don't know how to cook. Most young women, I find this mind-blowing. Most young women don't know how to cook. What you telling me we're dependent on our food outside of us? We can't just go buy some food and you cook it? You don't know how to do that? Y'all don't see the plan, the narrative, all right? Y'all don't see how this was, you've been lined up. They set you up to knock you down, as we used to say, set them up to knock you down, right? You don't know how to cook, right? You don't know how to do anything but put a lace front on. I can't eat no lace front. Oh, you want me to just go buy some food and have it delivered? Okay, all right, that's crazy, all right? Just think about it. There used to be soul food kitchens, right? Man, we used to eat good at some soul food kitchen. She could cook so good, she opened a restaurant. They don't even have that hardly anymore. Everything is chained and processed and just unsustainable. Don't know how to garden, can't sew a shirt, can't do anything. We heading for some rough times. But that knowledge is still in you. That knowledge, that severe wisdom, knowledge, understanding is still there. It's still, you got to understand, right? To be the goddess, to be the queen comes with responsibility towards those that you are the queen of or the goddess of. It just doesn't come with the honor and veneration. It comes with the responsibility of being able to guide and direct, right? It comes with the responsibility of being able to guide and to direct. If you can't do that, right? How can you say I'm the queen or I'm the goddess, right? And honor me. You have to bring some value to the conversation. Let me bring up this last video, all right? And then we're going to wrap this up. I want to share how we're actually moving into a woman-centered culture or the woman-centered political structure. So I want to show you this video, right? And I only saw the beginning of it, but I think I can get some parts out of it. Hold on right quick.
Do not try to act like a man. Stop that. Most companies right now are run based on masculine ideas of leadership. Feminine qualities are absolutely vital. Remember we shared the happiness study? Well, it turns out women are better at ensuring teams are happier.
A woman in her feminine energy wants everyone happy. She wants everyone to be content, right? She wants everyone to satisfy, right? I've worked with some women that own daycares and they fed children and they made sure every child has their proportion, that every child was fed and had their proportion. And it's just so strange that we think that men are the gods, the loving God, when everything in our reality, we get love from a woman. We rarely get that type of love that nourishes your soul and your spirit from men. You get it from a woman. You get it from your mother. You get it from the women in your life. You get it from the women teachers. We get it from women. And as we move into a more loving and compassionate society, right, women are going to have to start taking that leadership. I just spent my entire weekend making sure the entire campsite was comfortable. I was almost stressed to make sure, because it's just something about that feminine energy that wants to give. And I guess that's why you give birth and you give love and you give life. It's just something that wants to give, where masculine energy generally wants to take. It wants to defend, it wants to protect, it wants to secure. That's what masculine energy wants. It's the nature of masculine energy. Feminine energy wants to give out. So as we move into some higher states of consciousness, some higher states of being, a more just political system, a more just, society, it's got to be led by women. All right. It's got to be, look how greedy men are. You got men that are worth trillions and trillions of dollars, right? That if they can actually give each person, was they like 8 billion people on the planet? They can actually give each person $1 billion and still be rich. I don't make that make sense, right? You're worth $1 trillion, right? You can actually give each person $1 billion and you can still be wealthy. But see, they're trying to fill a hole that can't be filled, right? That's the problem that a lot of women are running into. You done did everything you can do and you're still not happy. Well, it needs to go inside and start working on that inside, right? You done did all of this on the outside, right? You done gave every part of your body. Ain't a hole left to give. Yeah, I said it. Ain't a hole left to give. And you're still not getting what you want. Make it make sense. Let them put it everywhere, and you still can't get what you wanted. Okay? So you got to understand, you got the president, you got the head of companies, they just greedy, and they still could not fill that hole, right? You know what hole they're trying to fill? They're trying to feel loved. Most of the men in power come from bad relationships with their mothers. They come from dysfunctional relationship where they could not get enough love. And so their only value is in their money and they have to keep proving their value. I'm telling you, people, we're heading to problems because you're thinking about the wrong things, right? You don't want to do the work inside and you keep trying to accumulate things on the outside and you just keep running into more and more problems.
We shared the idea of intuition. Women are better at intuition. A mother can sometimes sense what's going on with her child. But there's more evidence for that. Gallup did a study of 10 million employees, and they found this. Employees who say, my supervisor or someone at work cares about me as a person, those employees were the top employees in every way. Women are good at that. They're good at
So when you start, and he's using it as manipulation, and I get that's what men do. But one of the deciding factors of whether you enjoy a job or not is not how much money you make. That's usually like 2 or 3 down on the list. One of the most determining factor whether you enjoy your work or not is someone cares about me at work. Someone treats me like a person at work. I'm treated well at work. That's usually high on a lot of people's lists.
Appreciation, at nurturing, at care. It's the female biology. And so female-based leadership is going to be a huge advantage in companies. If you're a woman leader, do not try to act like a man. Stop that. Your qualities are the qualities of companies of the future.
Not only in companies, but of our society. Share this masculine image. I know, Baba, how you do it. You do the work. If you start doing the work inside, you start healing your traumas, you start releasing things that no longer serve your highest good. You start to cut cords, right? You clean your energy, you do the work, right? And then the reality starts to reflect that. But you can't operate like men and expect that you're going to get results like men. All right, so men are not getting the results they want. Most men are under the thumb of a lot of men, or a few men on the top. Men's relationships are oppressive relationships. So to be a boss babe or a baddie, where are you getting this stuff from? And why? Why are you the target of all this stuff? See, to make a man do something, right, you have to threaten us. And if you can push us to a point, most men would do something under threat. Women don't do things under threat, right? You can threaten them all you want. And if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. They don't care what. You can kill them. They're not going to do it. I mean, unalive you. They're not going to do it, right? So you have to manipulate them. And this system has learned how to manipulate women to keep them in the way that they want to do them. You're never going to be better. Stop playing their games. Stop playing their games. Well, we went over a lot of things today. I hope something resonated with someone out there in their life journey. I truly appreciate and I'm thankful that I got an opportunity to share my perspective. If it did not resonate with you, it was not for you, it was not meant for you. We were talking about why we worship women around these here parts, why women are important, why we understand their role, why we are excited that they take their throne. We are excited that women take their throne as the queens and queens that they are, as the divine energy bringers. Another banger. Another banger. Love and gratitude. Love and gratitude. I truly appreciate all you guys for being part of this conversation. Please thumb up the video. Please like the video. Wednesday night, we'll be doing Conscious Church, where we don't do any conversation. It's just totally honoring, clearing our energy, and guided meditations to bring us into our higher state. It's about 30 minutes long, 45 minutes long. Just tap into the YouTube channel and participate in that. I am totally grateful and honored that you guys have been here with me this morning. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to wish you love, happiness, wealth, success, and I want you to know that I truly love you.